Hello and welcome to DR Sports Box It Talk. We are the weekly podcast where we talk about all things that are boxing. We're first of all going to start off with Haney and Lomachenko, but before that, let me introduce my guests. We've got Laurie. Laurie, how you doing?
Bit of Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, a bit of Ryan Garcia over there.
Hey, stop sending shots already, man. We've been on the air for 10 seconds and he's sending shots from our boy Ryan.
Hey,
what's the need?
Order in the room.
There's no order in the room, mate. Put order a line behind the donut stand, mate.
With that shoe shine flurry, do I now become the face of boxing?
Let me introduce the rest of the panel.
Disrespecting him like that.
And we've got James here, the Ryan Garcia simp. The Katie Taylor simp.
The AJ simp.
The AJ simp.
Katie Taylor simp. I thought I was the Chantel Cameron simp. Changing your mind.
Simp?
Devin Haney simp today, my man.
Before we get into it, let me first say that we're going to be covering a lot more boxing on the channel. So if you like this type of content, please do like and subscribe. And we are actually going to be covering this fight that we're going to talk about right now, the Devin Haney Lomachenko fight this Saturday live. So stay locked in, like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for when we do go live as well.
Anyone seen Shane, by the way?
Yeah, he's gone running, mate. He's gone running. Why was it? What? He is. What
big up Shane. Exactly? Big up Shane.
He was upset in the group that I said, you and I are the real boxing experts. Did you see that?
I saw that.
He got quite upset by that comment.
Yeah,
so
because he knows the truth is that I am the boxing expert. So, shout out Shane for backing the boy and actually showing
he's definitely a
boxing
expert.
I know
in his own time.
Yeah.
So we have one of the potential fight of the year candidate, one of the biggest fights of the year thus far, albeit it's only in May. And we'll do a quick tail of the tape before we get predictions, we get your thoughts on the fight and different things like that. So we have Vasyl Lomachenko, 35 years old, 17 pro fights, 11 KOs, 2 losses. Both of them were on points, so he hasn't lost by knockout at all. Stands at 5'7", 65.5 reach, 65.5 inch reach, I should say. Versus Devin Haney, complete clean record, 24 years old, 29 wins, 15 KOs, 5'8", and 71 inch reach. So he has a lot of physical advantages. Plus,
he looks more than 2 inches taller than Loma.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be
the hair.
Could be the hair too. That's very true. They do actually share one opponent, I believe. Do you know who that opponent is?
I do.
I know that's why I didn't come to
you. You've caught me off guard here.
That's okay. That's fine. It's fine.
They have a common opponent.
They have a common opponent who is
Jorge Linares.
There you go.
So both of them beat him. But interestingly, Linares dropped Loma, even though people say that Haney's got a suspect chin. He dropped Loma, lost the points decision. Devin Haney, he hurt Devin Haney, didn't he?
No, didn't Loma stop him? Loma stopped him in the 10th, yeah.
Linares hurt Devin quite badly at the end of, I think it was round 7 or 8.
Sent him back with wobbly legs.
Yeah.
And then Devin Haney won on points, yeah. So given that you have seen both those fights and are aware of that, what's your take on the fight? Who do you give the edge to? Good
question. Well, for me, I look at this as a crossroads fight. It's that typical type of fight, really, where you get the sort of established legend, if you like. Well, not if you like. He's a definite legend of modern-day boxing, Lomachenko. Possibly the greatest amateur of all time. Certainly statistically is. I think it's something like
396 wins, 1 loss. And the one person he lost to, he beat him twice afterwards.
Yeah.
So really no one in the amateur.
Completely phenomenal. You could argue he's the greatest of all time. He's definitely up there.
Question is, I have that many amateur fights. I mean, that's got to take a hell of a lot out of you going into professional boxing at this age. I mean, you spoke about Canelo before, who's 32 years old, but because he started so young and he's had that many fights, it wears on him. These amateur fights ain't easy either. A fight is a fight. So,
and he did the WSB, didn't he? World Series of Boxing, which he's very successful in.
How do you think the fight's going to go? I think, just from the host, I'll say it really quickly, and I'll let you guys break it down in more detail. I think Devin Haney wins, but I think it's going to be very, very competitive. I think it'll be his hardest fight to date, and I think people are writing off Lomachenko because of somewhat recent losses and poor performances, but he's still such a great technician.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you on that. Pretty much everything you said there. Like I said, it's a crossroads fight. So you got Lomachenko, as I was saying, the established legend, up against a young gun. I think you said Lomachenko's 34-5. Devin Haney's 24. You know what I mean? So that's a significant age gap, especially at the lower weights. In the heavier weights, it doesn't make so much of a difference, but the lighter weights, it
Is there a reason
does.
why you'd say it doesn't make so much of a difference in the heavier weights?
It's just the way the body, it's just body mechanics, the physics of the body. You're smaller, older, it tends to take
if you're smaller, you're saying you develop physically at a younger age, and you hit your peak younger.
A lot of professional fighters say the last attribute they ever lose is their power. So at a heavyweight, the heavier the boxer, the more they'll carry their power later. They can still have a puncher's chance. Wilder will still be dangerous at 40 because he has that
So you hit your peak at a younger age when
and
you're
not only
lighter
that,
weight.
I think it's body mechanics. So if you're heavier, things like reflexes and footwork and speed and stuff like that tend to matter less at the bigger size you are. It's just the way the body works, basically. But anyway, so as I said, Devin's got a sizable advantage in terms of, well, all the physical stuff. Height, reach, age. Not so much power, because he's not a power puncher. But he does have very good stamina and fitness, whereas Lomachenko, we know as well, he's had quite a few surgeries, shoulder surgery, elbow surgery. He's been around a long time, man. You know what I mean? And that
you said,
wear and tear.
You said Haney's not known as a power puncher, which is true, but he carries more power than Lomachenko.
No, I don't think he does.
You don't think he does?
No.
Okay, interesting.
No, but what he does have is a very good jab. He's a very good outboxer.
Yeah.
Lomachenko's going to have to get inside, but therein lies the thing, you see, because Lomachenko is very good inside.
Yeah. That's why I think it's going to be so close, because it's a very, very good outside fighter versus a very, very good inside fighter. I think looking at them eye test wise, I've always thought Haney punches harder, but Lomachenko has the better knockout ratio, even though he's the smaller guy.
To me, Lomachenko's definitely the harder puncher. And the thing is as well about Loma, he's more accurate as well. He's maybe not what we call a one-punch hitter quitter.
Yeah.
But he's very accurate. So by sheer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Devin Haney will have the better punch resistance than Lomachenko, especially going into the later years of his life at 35 years of age. One of the things that does go, especially when you are lighter, if you are talking about the body mechanics again, is your punch resistance. If it is going to be a stoppage for me, it's Devin Haney. I do not see Lomachenko stopping Haney in the slightest. I mean, you kind of shocked me the way you kind of slapped your cojones on the table before the show. Since we started recording, you kind of, you've been a bit more subtle with the way that you're speaking. But you're telling me that Lomachenko wins this fight, and I'm just intrigued.
Well, yeah,
I
said off air that I think Lomachenko. See, the thing is, when this fight was first made, I was very firmly in the Devin Haney camp. Yeah, Devin Haney won the titles, went to Australia, beat George Kambosos, beat him well, went back, repeated
He's a travelling fighter.
So he's like they're fighting for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world. Devin Haney went into George Kambosos' backyard, took the belts off him, went back, defended it. I think he's one of three undisputed champions in the current four-belt era. I think it's him at lightweight, Canelo, super middleweight, and Jamel Charlo at light middleweight. So he's in the exalted company. So listen, there's a lot to like about Devin. I like him as a young man. He carries himself well. He's got his dad in the corner as well. They seem to make a very good partnership. That being said, though, Lomachenko is no joke, bro. This guy is seriously skilled, very experienced, very intelligent in the ring. And yes, he's 35. Yes, he's come to that point. We spoke about it with Canelo a couple of weeks ago with fighters. They're on the up and up. Then they plateau, and then they're slightly on the downside. That's Lomachenko, let's make no mistake. But he's had a long time out of the ring. His last fight wasn't particularly impressive. He fought a guy called Jermaine Ortiz, who's also a young guy, mover, good boxer. Got the job done there, wasn't overly impressive. But I just think with Lomachenko, for this fight, given that this fight is for all the belts, it's probably his last rodeo in terms of, fighting for titles and stuff like that. If he loses on Saturday, it's probably it for him. So I think that's going to play a part.
Last chance of getting undisputed. So you think it's just the renaissance factor that's pushing him?
I think it's going to be one last hill.
But how do you see him do it?
We've heard what he thinks.
No, but he hasn't. Before I want to see how you think. How does he do it? How does he do it though? How does he do it?
What he's got to do, he's got to get past Devin Haney's jab, which is no mean feat, because Devin Haney has one of the best jabs in boxing. But if anyone can do it, Lomachenko with the footwork, his inside game, he's also very deceptively strong. If he can get inside and start to rough Devin up a bit, like. You must have seen Lomachenko's fights where he gets in close and then you see his opponent try to hold him, and you see him. Yeah. They say he used to do wrestling and martial arts, so he will physically throw them off him and start working.
I don't think he can physically throw off Devin Haney, though. Personally,
well, we'll see.
If we are getting onto it, I think Devin Haney's too strong. He's too young.
It's not just the strength, though. It's the technique of the way he does it. He's very adept at what he does. And I just think that given the magnitude of this fight, given that it's Devin Haney's last fight with Top Rank, hang on, let me finish. Given the fact, let's face it, there's a lot of empathy around Ukrainian athletes and stuff like that. I know I'm sort of going off into
the weeds.
Yeah.
I just think that it's going to go the distance, and I think that Lomachenko, a lot of people will want him to win. That's what I'm going to say. So me personally, I think Devin, being a younger guy with the jab and the outboxing and all that, will win the early rounds. But I do expect Lomachenko to start putting the pressure on.
Yeah.
Round about the middle rounds, coming on strong, maybe late. And I think it could be a very close fight. I mean, I'm going for Devin Haney.
One second. It's an interesting point that you make about the politics of boxing, because this is Devin Haney's last fight. He fights with Top Rank, but he'll be like a free agent after that. He fights on a sort of fight by fight basis, like a lot of fighters do. He was with Eddie Hearn before. He's gone over to Top Rank, and I think this will be his last fight. He'll be a free agent. So if it does go the distance, are you saying then, as some people have said, James, I want to hear your thoughts on this as well, that a decision might not be super favourable to him, because
I reckon
they'll also know away from...
It won't be favourable to who?
A decision will be more favourable to Loma, because people will know that Devin Haney doesn't have the big legal team and the big promoter in his corner to... If it's a close fight, the automatic edge goes
What
to
I'm
Lomachenko.
saying, if it's a close fight, listen, judges are only human. What I'm saying is Lomachenko is a very respected, very likeable person. When you throw in the whole Ukraine thing as well, and the fact that Devin is an up-and-coming guy, I think it could almost be human nature for the judges to slightly lean towards the work that Lomachenko does. Let's face it, boxing is a very subjective sport, especially with the judges. It's what they see, it's what they value. I think that Devin Haney, if he's going to win this fight, he needs to win it well. If it's close, they'll give it to Lomachenko.
I've got to disagree with you there. I do not think that they would favour towards Lomachenko at all. If they're talking about someone you can build the brand behind, if you're talking about someone to build the sport behind, it is the 24-year-old. It is Devin Haney. Lomachenko, look, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You're falling into the Ryan Garcia trap. You're falling into what I fell into. You're falling into the romance of the sport. I do it all the time.
No, I'm not saying it's right.
No. I'm talking about your prediction with Lomachenko. Everything you're building into this
Haney.
about, they love the Ukraine factor. It's his last chance at getting through. The last blossoming areas of his career.
Let me reiterate. I'm going for Devin Haney.
No,
I'm predicting Haney will win, but what I'm saying...
you've changed your tune.
No, I'm not. Go back and listen to what I said.
You changed your tune. You said you thought Lomachenko would win.
No, I didn't.
Let me clarify, because it sounds like you're
backtracking a bit here, mate. You're on your bicycle, you're pedaling backwards here.
Order. We need to get some order in here. Just give us.
All right, I'll break it down very quickly.
Don't break it down. Just give us the end of the fight prediction. If you had to put your money on it, we're not gambling.
Haney on points, but I'm saying he needs to win well, because if it's close, I feel that the judges will stiff him basically and go for low.
Okay, I must be going crazy here, because I could have sworn that you said Lomachenko. But either way, when you talk about the judges as well and people potentially favouring Lomachenko, he's the older man. Like I said, the romance of it gets you every time. It's the same way I built into the Ryan Garcia thing. I was like, this is his big chance. Everyone's been underestimating him. He's the underdog. He's going against Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is the face of boxing. Everyone's gassing him up. Everyone's saying he's this undefeatable animal. But Ryan Garcia could defy all the odds when no one's expecting it, and I bought into it. I bought into it, and you're talking about Ryan Garcia. You're neglecting the point here. Sit back and listen, okay? Vasyl Lomachenko, like I said, the underdog. Everyone wants to back him. I don't see that happening at all. Unfortunately, boxing is like this. It's a dirty, ugly sport. We'll get onto the other politics and other things later with the Rolly fight, but.
So what's your final
if it goes down to the wire, they're giving the fight to Devin Haney. No contest. He's the younger man. He's someone to build it behind, and he will win it anyway. Listen, I don't think it will be close. What I just said is partially irrelevant, because I don't think it will be close. If this was 10 years ago, If this was 5 years ago even, then I give Lomachenko more of a chance. Even with, granted, Haney would have been 19 there. But at this current moment in time, especially if you look at the way that Haney performed in those Kambosos fights, and you look at the way that Lomachenko's been sliding recently, I don't see him really having a shot. I don't see one facet of his game that he is going to be good enough at to take Devin Haney the distance.
Chris Eubanks Senior turner. We need some parliamentary procedure.
Yeah, parliamentary procedure here. Parliamentary procedure.
What I said was, I believe that Haney will win. And listen, may the best man win, ultimately. I believe that Haney will win on points. I think it'll be a hard fight, a lot tougher fight than what a lot of people out there, not so much you guys, I've read a lot of stuff online, people saying Devin Haney's going to wash him. No chance. This is going to be a close fight. And what I'm saying is, Devin Haney needs to put rounds in the bank and win this fight well, because I just feel that there's going to be a lot of sentiment with Lomachenko. People like the guy, people respect him. Like I said, it's the last fight with Haney at top rank, so, you got that political thing there, Bob Arum, and, I don't need to explain. Also, you've got what I call the Ukraine empathy. That's going to count for something. A lot of people like Loma, and if it's close, these judges, they're human beings, they're subjective, they look at it through subjective eyes.
They look at it through the promotion eyes, and they look at it through the eyes of their back pocket is the eyes that they look at through. They ain't looking at it through the prettiness and any of that.
One quick question before we move on to the next topic. I did want to ask, in terms of just professional boxing, just since they've turned pro, not the amateur stuff at all, who has the better record? Because it's going to be a big night. You've both mentioned the big night, the big rolling of the dice, undisputed, one of the only undisputed world champions in the world at the moment. They've both had big nights of their careers. Devin Haney probably more recently than Lomachenko. Who's got the better professional CV and resume?
That's a good question, actually, because you asked that question, I'd be tempted to say Lomachenko is a two-weight world champion. But then you look at Devin Haney, what he's achieved in a relatively short space of time. Undisputed lightweight champion of the world. You know what I mean? And of the four-belt era, there's only 3 at the moment that's done that. Like I said, him, Canelo, and Jamal Charlo. And he's done it at 24 years old. So that is a very good question. That's open to question, to be honest.
Who would you edge it to before we move on?
Probably have to say Devin Haney. Yeah? He's created history there.
I think it's too close to call right now. But if you're talking 3-4 years' time, I think undeniably it will be Devin Haney. At this current moment in time, I think they're pretty much just bang on even, which is very good. To go back to the start of the show, you called this a crossroads fight. That's what makes it so exciting. And
I'll tell you why as well, because Lomachenko, we spoke about his great amateur record, which is phenomenal. Probably will never see the likes of that again. But his professional record, he's been beaten twice. One of those defeats was by Orlando Salido, who was pretty much a journeyman when he fought Lomachenko. That was a big shock. That said, I think that was his 3rd fight. Because when he turned pro, with his age and his experience and the wear and tear, obviously they were trying to fast track him. So he had a lot of big fights very early on in his career. So yeah, it's a good question. You could go for either party. I mean, Loma's 2-weight world champion. He's fought some very good fighters. Linares was one of them. He's fought Luke Campbell. He fought Anthony Crolla and people like that. But Devin Haney, like I said...
Do you put any stock into the fact that he beat the guy that beat the guy that beat the guy?
Not really, because they both beat the guy. You know what I mean? If you're talking about Linares, they both beat him.
No. He's talking about Lomachenko losing his belts to Teofimo.
To Lopez.
And then
Lopez to Kambosos.
Oh, I see, right. Yeah.
So does that not put any stock into it, or are you saying, styles make matchups?
Styles do make fights. And when he fought Teofimo Lopez, he lost a fight. I thought he lost quite comfortably, but he said he thought he won it. And he wasn't the only one. A few people said that they thought it was very close. And then, of course, he had some people would say excuse, some people would say reason. He had the shoulder surgery, which was quite significant. So that is a good question.